public policy matters. And first up is recommended draft policy 2017-8, amend the definition for community networks. I will give the staff introduction. And then after that, we'll have David Farmer come up and give the AC presentation. So, the history. This recommended draft policy was submitted originally as ARIN Policy Proposal 243 in August of 2017. It was advanced to draft policy in August 2017, meaning it had a clear problem statement at that point. The Advisory Council knew what it was that was being proposed. In February 2018, it was advanced to recommended draft policy. It is now in a state where the AC can recommend it to the Board of Trustees after it's been through a public policy meeting. So it is possible that this is the last time you would see this at a meeting. That happened in February 2018. It's been presented at ARIN-40. Shepherds are Dave Farmer and Andrew Dull. The staff and legal review. This draft policy provides a new definition for community networks. It allows them to receive an allocation size of /40 of V6 resource, but limits the holder to only performing reassignments and does not allow reallocations. The new definition is clear and easily understood, the proposed one in the policy. It notes that the staff notes that community networks may be approved for an allocation size of /40. They would choose to qualify under Section 652 if they desire, and then be considered a regular LIR. This is clear as well. Policy is implementable. There is a statement that says community networks receiving a /40 under the section only make reassignments, and it further prevents them from receiving an allocation under this policy from those receiving an allocation from making reallocations. That is also clear. The policy can be implemented as written. So, with that, there's no material legal issues from the legal review. Resource impact, it's relatively small. We can implement it within 3 months of ratification by the Board of Trustees. We'd be updating guidelines and internal procedures. We do staff training. There's some engineering work required to make sure this is implemented correctly. Okay, the Advisory Council presentation. Come on up, Dave Farmer. It's so good to see you in Miami. For those who don't know it, Dave had a travel adventure getting here, or two.
Just to add to that, you know, even in Minneapolis, 16 inches of snow in the middle of April is a lot. Okay, so this is the problem statement. John reviewed the history. Unfortunately, this is a lot more history than even that. This goes back a couple years. We've had a couple of whacks at this. I think we've got it this time. Then there was also some discussion at ARIN-40. This policy started out as just changing the definition, but it became clear at ARIN-40 that the community wanted more than just that. We needed to have community networks get allocations, not assignments, and there was a few other issues discussed. Okay, so what's changing? The definition is changing. Community networks are now basically essentially a special subclass of LIR. They receive a /40. This qualifies them for the XXX small ISP fee category of $250, although that's really not a policy issue, but it's an implication of this policy. For larger or subsequent allocations, community networks need to become a regular LIR and follow those policies. And then community networks can only make community will make reassignments just like any other LIR. They won't make reallocations. And that's primarily because a /40 is already a very tiny B4 allocation in the scheme of things, and slicing and dicing that into even smaller ones does not make a lot of sense to some people. if you're a community network and you need to make reallocations, hey, there's an answer, become a regular LIR, get a bigger allocation, and then you can slice and dice it. Policy text, this is the new definition. I'm not going to read it to you. I mostly have these here in case we need to discuss them. The highlighted text in these policy text ones, or the bolded text, is where the text is actually changing. If it's in unbolded text, this is actually language that's already in the NRPM. And then this whole section I just left in for clarity, but this subsection is not changing at all. This is where we talk about allocation size and make it explicit that they can become a regular LIR if they need to need something some other size or need subsequent allocations. This is where we talk about the reassignments. We've already been through all this. Since ARIN-40, the new text seems to address everybody's concerns. Since this text has come out, nobody's expressed any concerns at all. There was some discussion about the /40 and the allocation, the reallocations and all of that. And basically people seem to be falling into this consensus. As John pointed out, there's really no issues in the staff and legal assessment. So I think we're ready for the final discussion on this.
So after the sugar break, I encourage, if you have comments on this recommended draft policy, to approach the microphone. This policy is in a slightly different stage in the draft policy we speak, and I normally can find in 2 seconds oh yes, I always encourage about this point to look for those nudes at the PDP flowchart on step 30, page 31 of your guide if you want to see. This policy is deeper in the process than the last one. So we really encourage any feedback because it's coming close to becoming final policy. But nothing I've said has encouraged anybody to come up and speak. Hopefully somebody in remote land is typing. Please approach a microphone. Far microphone, thank you.
Hi, Kathleen Hunter, Comcast, speaking for myself, per usual. I think you guys did a good job on this policy. I approve of it as written. I think a lot of thought went into all of the important things that everybody had raised. I think the /40 for now, I think would be good to go forward. I think size could always be discussed later, but I think the way it's written is probably the way it should go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Far back microphone. Yes,
Oh,
there is no microphone farther than you at this point.
Thank you, Kevin Bloomberg, The Wire. So I authored the first proposal, I authored the second proposal, and you guys got it right on the third proposal. Thank you. I support the proposal as written. It's done. Let it see it go off into its merry way, and hopefully there will be community networks that can use this policy. The other one was unusable. Maybe this one will be usable, and may I never see it again. The one thing, David, earlier in your slides you have, if a community network does use it, you said should. And I wanted to clarify, the policy text says must become a regular LIR, and that to me was the correct scenario.
I was speaking loosely.
Others that wish to speak on this proposal? Going once, and twice, anything on the remote participation? Negative? Well, I have to get some more sugar for the next break, but with that, we'll close the microphones at this point. We'll thank David for the presentation and invite him. But we will now have audience participation time because this is a recommended draft policy, and this is our first poll. I will explain how it works. Anybody, again, who can hear the sound of my voice, if you're in the room, if you're in remote, you may signify now, if you wish, whether you are in favor or against this proposal as the text has been presented. And the results of this poll will be provided to the advisory council, who will deliberate later this week to decide whether to advance or not the policy. So how it's going to work is I will first ask for those in favor, and then those against to raise their hands nice and high. We have actual counters in the room who will count. I'll ask you to keep it up until they are done counting, so please just get ready to stretch for seconds. So, and if you are remote, please follow the instructions that are being provided to you in chat. So with that, on the matter of ARIN 2017-8, amend community networks, would all those in favor of the policy as written, please raise your hand nice and high, one hand only, no hanging chads, please. And keep it nice and high. Our expert counters are quickly and heavily in the process. And the sign, and you may lower. Thank you. And would those opposed to the policy as written, please raise your hand nice and high. Need your signal there, or you just still check? Okay, good. All right. And now we will just take a brief pause to await the tabulation as we anticipate tonight's exciting social on the lovely heat. Not so much that we're getting in my neck of the woods in Toronto where it's freezing rain. I think I see the envelope on its way down. Thank you very much, Michael. On the item of ARIN 2017-8, amend community networks. Participants in the room, 93, remote 9. The result of the combined is 29 in favor, goose egg against. This information will be provided to the AC for their consideration. Thank you.